This is Tim Willis, and I'm only with a copy of OBS and a built-in laptop microphone. This is a video from the Nomad Funnel Hacker. So we're looking at the Google Trends website, and the reason I wanted to do this video about the Google Trends website is because there's a lot more to funnel building than just putting some text and images on a web page. For example, you have the images and any graphics you have to create. If you have a video that has to be filmed and edited, your copy, of course, has to be written. And when we write copy, or when we get ready to do a website, we need to do research on what we are advertising on that website or what we are talking about on that website. And there are countless research tools, but many of them are paid, and some of them are quite expensive. And sometimes you want to just do some basic research and just figure out if there's interest in a subject and where that interest is increasing or decreasing. Or if it's something seasonal and there are peaks and valleys every year for that particular product or that particular interest. The Google Trends website is totally free. All you need is a Google account. And it gives us some of that very good basic information before we commit ourselves to something. You see here it has a toolbar that says Home, Explore, Trending Now. And then we have a search bar here. Now we are set to the United States right now. We could set it to any place we wanted to, but I am in the United States, so we're going to leave it there. If we come to this search bar here, we can type a search term in here. And let's type gardening. And you see it gives us a couple different ways we can look at gardening and a couple of related terms. We're just going to do gardening as a search term. And we can see we're provided with a graph here. Now, by default, Google Trends is going to show you just the results for the past day. And so this toolbar, we can choose the location, we can choose the time frame, we can filter categories, and we can also filter by the type of search. We're using web search, which is the Google search. But let's go ahead and change our time frame to the past 5 years. So it's going to recalculate and show us what you expect for gardening is that there are times when people are interested in it, which starts about January, and then about July, August, down to October, there's a decline in interest. It's a seasonal activity. We would expect those peaks and valleys. You change our search term. Let's do something that would be more year-round, like chicken. Again, it gives us a couple of choices. We're just going to go with the search term. You can see that there's pretty steady interest in chicken and pretty high interest. It's generally between 75 and 100. And that's over the past 5 years. Now we also can do it by category. If we were to say food and drink, we should get a high result. And we do. But if we chose something else, for arts and entertainment. Okay. You would expect that it would be lower, and it is, except there's a spike recently on chickens. I don't know what that's about. It started late last year. But anyway, that's one thing you could do. Let's go ahead and go back to all categories. Now, right now we're doing the web search. We can also search by images. See what kind of images are showing up. Pretty decent interest in chicken images. Do a news search. Again, not quite as high as the general search for chickens, but still pretty high interest in chickens. We can do Google shopping search. And pretty high interest until looks like about October. and then there's a few spikes there. And then we can also do a YouTube search. And here it's pretty steady here, but there's a recent spike. Looks like about March. I don't know why that would be. But generally, you're going to be looking at the web search for the most part. And that's an example of what we could do. Now, let's go ahead and click on this button that says compare. And we can put in a different search term. This time we'll put in turkey. So now it's going to give us two sets of results. Our blue is the chicken. Our red is the turkey. The chicken over 5 years is fairly consistent. The turkey spikes up, and guess what? November. But otherwise, the interest is fairly low in turkey. Now, when we do that, and let's go ahead and just get rid of that. I should have done this first, but we'll do it now. So when we're looking at chicken, it's going to give us a map here that shows the interest by subregion. And then you can wheel through all 51 subregions to see where it's most popular. You also get related topics and related queries. For example, related topics, KFC, chicken salad, related queries, Dave's Hot Chicken, Marry Me chicken recipe, and so forth. Now, let's go ahead. We're going to put another search term in here, and we'll put duck this time. A lot more interested in chicken than duck, but duck is fairly consistent. But when we do that, we're going to get a combined chart here, which shows our bar with the blue and the red. And then you can mouse over that. It's going to give you some information. But each subject will also have its own individual map. We can even add a third term. I don't know the ultimate number I'll let you put in there, but we can definitely put in 3. So chicken, duck, what's another bird? I guess we'll just use turkey again. And boom, we have all 3 on the chart now. And then they're combined on this chart here. You see the blue, the red, the yellow. And then each one of them has its own individual state, or rather subregion chart. So that's pretty much how the Explore section works. We also have the Trending Now section, which is something completely different. And the Trending Now section will show you the searches that are trending. In other words, typically going upwards. And by default, we're looking at the last 24 hours, but we can expand that to up to 7 days. Let's go ahead and change that. That will recalculate what the trends are. And you see for DH Gate here, we'll go with that. The search volume is 500K. It started spiking up 6 days ago. And there's some links here. But then you can see this chart here where it shows it spiked up, but now it's going down. And then you see the blue origin one, it spiked up and then it went back down. And then you can filter by category. You only really have one choice on trends. Is you can turn the switch on and show active trends only. But you do have a couple of choices on this filter. But generally, this is what you want, is the time frame. And again, if we go to the past, let's say 48 hours, it's going to recalculate everything. And so this is a good way if you're trying to follow something that's recent in the news, or you're trying to find out what people are interested in right now, then the Trending Now section is pretty good for that. And then if we go back to the home section, if you go a little lower, it has a few articles on things that are trending right now. And then it also down here has a few tutorials on how Google Trends works and how you can use it. But truthfully, once you play with it for about 5 minutes, you'll have Google Trends basically figured out. But this is a way that we can do some basic market research. Like, let's say we wanted to go into the e-com space, and let's say we wanted to sell blankets. Sorry, I couldn't think of a better thing off the top of my head. Again, it's a new search term, so we are looking at for the past day. Let's go out to 5 years, or actually let's do the past 12 months first. So you can see there's definitely some interest all year round, but it peaks up, starts rising about August, and then really starts peaking up about October, being 100% at December, and then as we get New Year and we start getting spring, or people know that spring is coming, but that just tells us 1 year, so it could be a weird year. So let's go back 5 years, and we can see this is a seasonal item, and there's these peaks every year that happen. And so if we went to selling blankets, we know that we would have a part of the year that could be good for selling blankets, and other parts of the year that are probably going to be slow sales, if any. Now let's change our search term to something that would be more likely all year round. So let's put in SUV. And so we can see over the 5 years that more or less the interest in SUVs has been similar. Sometimes goes up, goes down a little bit, but no really big spikes. But if we go to the past 12 months, actually, there we go. Again, fairly consistent. So there seems to be a market that is high. It's at between 75 and 100, but it isn't having any great peaks or valleys. Now, let's use another example here of something that came along after 2004, and that's how far back Google Trends will go. And we can see a spike in interest on it. So we're going to type in Tesla, and we're going to use car make. Now, this is for the past 12 months, and you can see that there has been a spike interest in the car make Tesla. That could be because of controversy, it could be sales, it could be a lot of things, because this is all based on Google search. But if we go back to 2004, we get a different story. We can see, and I'm not sure what year they first produced the Teslas, but we can see here there's a flat line, then there's some interest here, a little more interest, and there's a little peak here in 2016, and it goes back down, and then in 2017, there's a big spike in 2019, and then there's peaks and valleys, but it is increasing in interest over time. And so this is an example of a big change that has happened over time. And let's put in something else here. Let's just have fun here and put in Taylor Swift. And we'll go with the American singer and songwriter. Okay, you can see that it's pretty flatline here. I don't know when she started performing again. I didn't research that, but we can see there's a spike here. There's a relative, you know, interest in here. It goes up and down. And then in looks like about October 2022, it just goes pretty much all the way to the top of the chart at January 2024. And then it's actually gone back down quite a bit. So that's kind of interesting. But that place where it's at now is fairly consistent with where it's been over the last 10 years. And we don't have that kind of granular aspect to Google Trends to know that kind of thing. You would probably have to get to a more advanced program that would drill down deeper on those kind of things. And if you're going to have that kind of program, then we were probably looking at paying some money, perhaps a lot of money. And there are programs that will do that for you and will charge you a lot of money for that. But Google Trends being free, it's sort of the first stop you might want to do if you just want to do some research on a market or a subject and see what the interest is based on Google search. So that is pretty much it on using Google Trends to do research and market research. My name is Tim Willis. I'm a certified ClickFunnels funnel builder. I make tutorial and demonstration videos on ClickFunnels, funnel building, web page design, and tools like Google Trends that we use to do all the above. That's the video for now. I'll talk to you later.